The night before my wedding was supposed to be filled with nerves, last-minute dress fittings, maybe a glass of champagne to calm my hands. Instead, I stood in my parents' living room under the harsh glow of a chandelier, my dress bag hanging neatly on the couch while my mother circled me like a predator. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor, sharp and deliberate, like she was reminding me who held the power in that house. My sister, Rachel, sat smugly in the corner, scrolling her phone, a smirk tugging at her lips. She didn't have to say a word, her eyes told the story. She was enjoying every second. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Hold your head up, Mom snapped, gripping my chin hard enough to leave marks. Tomorrow everyone will see you standing next to her. Do you know how humiliating that is for me? For this family? Look at you, plain, weak, nothing. I'm marrying Daniel, I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. That should be enough. Her laugh was sharp, cruel. Enough? You'll never be enough. She let go of my chin and stepped back, her eyes narrowing like she was scanning for flaws. Then she lifted her heel, red, pointed, polished, and without hesitation swung it against my cheek. Gee, the crack echoed in the room. Pain shot through my face as I stumbled backward, clutching my skin. The metallic taste filled my mouth before I even saw the blood. Rachel gasped, not out of horror but delight, and leaned closer to get a better view. Mom struck again, the heel digging into my brow this time. Now you'll look uglier than your sister, she screamed, her voice raw with rage. Do you hear me? Uglier! You won't steal her light! Blood dripped down the side of my face, warm and sticky. I pressed my hand against it, shaking, trying to steady myself. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye, smeared makeup, torn skin, a broken version of myself staring back. And then, from the kitchen doorway, came the sound I dreaded most, my father's laugh. He leaned against the frame, beer in hand, watching like it was some private comedy show. Finally, he said with a smirk, you shine like leather. The words cut deeper than the heels, my own father, grinning while I bled on the living room floor. Rachel finally set her phone down and rose to her feet, her heels clicking like applause. She looks better this way, she said softly, almost like a compliment. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the nearest lamp and smash it across their perfect, cruel faces. But my body wouldn't move. My knees wobbled, my heart thundered in my chest, and all I could do was stare at them. Mom stepped closer, her breath hot against my face. Tomorrow you'll walk down that aisle and no one will look at you. They'll see Rachel. They'll see perfection. You'll be the shadow, just like you always were. Dad raised his beer in a mock toast. To the ugliest bride this town's ever seen. Their laughter filled the room, thick and suffocating. I turned my face away, my hand pressing hard against the wound, blood seeping through my fingers. In that moment, a part of me cracked open. Not broken, no. Hardened. Because if they thought beating me would make me smaller, they were wrong. I wouldn't forget this. I wouldn't forgive it. And when the time came, I'd make sure the blood on my face would be the stain on their legacy. I locked myself in my childhood bedroom that night, pressing tissues against my face, staring at the swollen stranger in the mirror. My left eye had already started turning purple, the cut along my brow still bleeding in thin lines. The tissues stained red faster than I could change them. The voices carried through the walls, my mother laughing with Rachel about how desperate girls will marry anyone, my father clinking bottles with my uncles like nothing had happened. The sound of normalcy in that house felt like a knife twisting deeper into my ribs. I wanted to run. I wanted to call Daniel, to tell him everything, to beg him to come and take me away. My hand hovered over the phone more than once, but fear stopped me. What if he thought I was exaggerating? What if he thought I was the problem, just like they had trained everyone to believe? So, I sat in silence, staring at the bruised face in the mirror, replaying Mom's shriek in my head. Now you'll look uglier than your sister. And Dad's chuckle. Finally, you shine like leather. The next morning, The house buzzed with wedding preparations. The florist dropped off flowers, the caterers called with updates. Rachel strutted around the kitchen like it was her big day. I stayed upstairs, covering the swelling with makeup that couldn't hide much. Every brushstroke felt like fire against my skin. Mom barged in without knocking, her heels sharp against the floor. She eyed me like a sculptor inspecting broken clay. "Better," she muttered, tilting my chin. "The ugliness suits you. Daniel won't notice he's blinded by pity." She sprayed perfume in the air before leaving. "Don't screw this up." I sat frozen, the smell of her perfume choking me. My hands shook, but my mind was still, because by then, the seed had already taken root. They thought I would keep quiet forever, that my silence was obedience, but silence was sharpening me like a blade. That afternoon, while everyone bustled with last-minute tasks, I slipped into Dad's study. It still smelled of cigars and arrogance. His laptop was open, his passwords scribbled on sticky notes, because he thought no one would dare snoop. I dared. Emails, financial statements, messages proof of everything I had always suspected. Money funneled into secret accounts, lies to colleagues, affairs buried under business trips. It was all there. My hands trembled, but not from fear, from the realization that I finally had power. And then Rachel's phone, carelessly left charging in the kitchen. I scrolled through her messages. Her cruel words were there in black and white. "She'll look like a clown at the altar. Mom made sure." Screenshotted. Saved. Every laugh they had stolen from me, every bruise, every insult, now I had their own words, their own dirt, their own poison in my hands. That night, when Daniel came to check in, he noticed my swollen face. "What happened?" he whispered, reaching for me. I pulled back, shaking my head. "Tomorrow," I said, my voice steady for the first time in years. "Tomorrow, you'll see everything." Because the wedding wasn't just going to be vows and rings anymore, it was going to be reckoning. The church was glowing the next day, filled with flowers and guests dressed in their finest. Rows of relatives whispered, snapping photos, waiting for me to walk down the aisle. To them, this was just another wedding. To me, it was the stage I had been forced onto since birth, except this time, I wasn't coming as their scapegoat. I stood behind the doors in my gown, my face bruised beneath carefully applied makeup. The makeup couldn't fully hide it, but I no longer cared. In fact, I wanted them to see. I wanted them to remember exactly what they had done. The music began. I walked slowly down the aisle, my heart steady. My parents sat in the front row, Mom dabbing her eyes with a tissue like the star of her own play, Dad puffing out his chest, smirking at the respect he thought people still had for him. Rachel sat beside them in a shimmering gown, smirk plastered across her face as though she were the real bride. When I reached the altar, Daniel smiled nervously at me, his eyes searching mine for an explanation. I gave his hand a squeeze. Then I turned to face the crowd. "Before we begin," I said, my voice echoing across the hushed church, "there's something you all need to see." Gasps rustled through the pews. My mother's head snapped up. Dad's smirk faltered. Rachel's smirk froze into a frown. I lifted a small remote hidden in my bouquet. The screen above the altar flickered to life, and then it began. First, the photo of my bruised face from the night before, swollen, bleeding, mascara streaked with tears. The room erupted with whispers. Then, Rachel's text messages appeared. "She'll look like a clown at the altar. Mom made sure." Gasps. Heads turned. Rachel's face drained of color. Next came Dad's email's secret accounts, stolen money, lies to his company. Then Mom's gossiping emails, mocking her friends, neighbors, even some of the guests sitting in that very church. People shifted uncomfortably, their admiration turning to disgust. And then, the recording. My phone connected to the speakers, and my mother's scream filled the church. "Now you'll look uglier than your sister," followed by Dad's laugh. "Finally, you shine like leather." The silence that followed was unbearable, heavy, suffocating, electric. Every eye in that church turned to the front row. My parents, my sister. Mom leapt to her feet, face red. "She's lying," she shrieked. "She's making this up." But no one believed her, not with her voice blaring over the speakers. not with the evidence flashing above her head. Dad stood, fists clenched, but the power he had always held slipped away in seconds. Guests were already whispering, "Disgusting." "Monsters." How could they? His colleagues stared at him with open disgust, his lifelong reputation shattered in a single moment. Rachel sobbed, clutching her phone as if she could erase the messages. "It was just a joke," she cried, but her friends edged away from her, eyes cold. I stepped closer, my voice steady. "You tried to destroy me the night before my wedding. You tried to make me bleed, to humiliate me, to remind me I was nothing. But today, you answer for it." I pointed at the ground in front of me. "On your knees." The crowd fell into stunned silence. My parents froze, eyes wide. "Never," Dad hissed. But the murmurs began again. "Apologize. Do it. Beg." The weight of the room pressed down until finally the mighty fell. My father's knees hit the floor with a dull crack. My mother followed, sobbing, her mascara running down her face. Rachel slumped beside them, collapsing in shame. I looked down at them, the three people who had built their empire on my humiliation, now reduced to groveling in front of everyone they wanted to impress. "You wanted me uglier," I said coldly. "Now you're the ones covered in filth. You wanted me to shine like leather? Shine now. Let them all see what you really are." Their hands trembled, their lips mumbled apologies, hollow and pathetic. The guests turned their backs on them, their empire shattered. I turned to Daniel, my eyes burning, and whispered, "Now we can begin." As we walked out of that church, the applause wasn't for them. It was for me, the daughter who refused to stay silent, the bride who turned her pain into power. And behind me, for the first time in their lives, my parents and sister weren't laughing. They were kneeling. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.